Hello everybody, welcome to this video about Venus retrograde in Gemini in 2020. If you're curious about what that means, then this is the video for you. All right, you guys, let's get started. I pulled a Virgo and I put together an agenda. So these are the things we're going to cover. We're going to talk about 5 things you definitely should avoid doing during a Venus retrograde and 5 things you should do. We're going to talk about what a Venus retrograde even is and what that means. And we're going to specifically talk about why this Venus retrograde is so special. And then we're going to talk about what areas of your life, specifically you, right, based on your rising sign or whichever house Gemini lies in your chart, which other areas of your life are going to be affected. In the description box down below, I have a little paragraph describing why you should be paying attention to your rising sign. If you want to check your sun sign and your moon sign, that is perfectly acceptable. There will still be relevant information in those readings as well. But if you really want to know exactly which area, then your rising sign is really the way to go. Alrighty, so let's get started with the top 5 things you should definitely avoid doing during a Venus retrograde. Before we get into it, it needs to be said that this Venus retrograde is going to be in a difficult aspect, a 90-degree angle with Neptune. Neptune is over in Pisces and Venus is going to be in Gemini. These are, 4 houses away from each other, which give us that, 90-degree squaring angle. Venus will be coming forward across Neptune and then back again across Neptune and then forward again across Neptune. Now, why is this important, right? Because Venus already, when she's retrograde, gives us rose-colored glasses, right? We just simply don't see things as clearly as we might otherwise. When Neptune is involved, that is even amplified that much more. So Neptune plays a really big part in delusion, confusion, deception, all those kinds of things. So it really needs to be said that you won't be seeing things clearly. And before any major decisions are made, you should wait. Okay, now let's get started. Number 1, jumping into a new relationship. Venus is really close to the Earth right now. Okay, so here she is. She's really bright, really prominent in the sky, really close to Earth, and her influence can be felt. It's very common for people to fall in love during this time and have that relationship peter out later on. She is going to bring out a lot of romantic vibes, and meeting someone, boom, this person is so beautiful, so gorgeous. Oh my God, they're everything I ever wanted, only to find out a couple months later that this person is nothing like what you thought they were. Number 2, rekindling an old relationship. Similar to a Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde brings out people from the woodwork, right? Out of nowhere. Exes coming out, proclaiming their feelings, proclaiming their love to you, saying, oh my God, I made such a mistake. It's very common. It happens all the time. It is advisable to not get back together with them, right? It's an ex for a reason. That's what you always say. It's an ex for a reason. There was a reason why it didn't work out. It's a reason why they're in your past. If you are feeling like this is someone that you might want to rekindle with, honestly, just wait, right? Just wait a month. That's it. Just wait a month. Wait until the end of June until you start, seeing things a little bit more clearly. Number 3 is suddenly ending a relationship. Now, Neptune is going to add an influence, like I said, of delusion, of confusion, of even more rosy colored glasses, which means the grass is definitely going to look greener on the other side. Is not true. The grass isn't really green on the other side. Maybe you're just wearing greener glasses, right? Okay, so don't break up with people suddenly on a whim. People who are having difficult relationships, this is going to be a time when issues can be exacerbated. And you'll realize that you're just really not on the same page with your person, and that can create even more problems. So the goal more is to just talk through things and to communicate rather than to say, oh my God, this isn't for me. I'm more interested in that person over there, only again to find out a couple months later that they're nothing like what they seem. Number 4 is making large or risky investments. This can be in buying a new car, a new home, putting a lot of money into the stock market, gambling, lottery, playing, all those kinds of things. It's just not a good time for that, okay? It's really important for you to be conservative. There can be an energy of wanting to spend money, especially because Gemini is involved. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to start new things during this time, but large or luxury or risky investments is just really not a good idea. And then the fifth thing to definitely avoid doing is altering your style or redecorating your home, especially when it comes to major changes like plastic surgery or remodeling. It's not a good time for massive structural changes. Be careful of what you do with your hair, because you're going to want to change it up a little bit, go get bangs or dye it a different color. Definitely not recommended. Normally when that happens is like it seemed like such a good idea, and then again, a few weeks later, you're like, oh my God, that was the worst thing I ever did. Why did I do that? Not a good idea to be making major changes. It's not really even a good idea to go out and buy new clothes. Now, if you need to satiate that desire, couple of t-shirts, some fun things, but it's probably better to spend your time cleaning out your closet more than it is about filling it up with new stuff. So now let's talk about the 5 things that you definitely should do. Number 1, get creative. Venus is a planet of art and beauty, creativity, aesthetic, all these wonderful things. So put your creative talents to good use during this time. When she's coupled with Gemini, the creativity is going to be that much stronger, as Gemini is an exceptionally creative and artistic sign as well. So allow yourself the freedom to explore your own creative talents, writing the book, getting the paints out again, or even doing some physical dance or yoga, those kinds of things. Those are excellent activities to do during this time. Number 2 is go on a vacation. Venus is first and foremost a planet of pleasure. She loves the sensual pleasure. She loves the pleasure of beauty. She loves to be in beautiful places. It's going to be a good time for you to go someplace and learn something new. So maybe go somewhere where you've never been before, try new foods, experience some new cultures, expand your worldliness just a little bit more. Number 3, practice self-love. Venus is such a planet of me plus another person, right? It's a social element. Gemini is a very social sign as well. So the tendency is going to be very much out there, connecting with other people. So when she's retrograde, you can take a moment, do your meditations, really focus on the things that really you need to do and you need to take care of. Eating well, all those kinds of things is going to be, really beneficial for you and serve you well in the future. Number 4 is say what's on your mind. Gemini is all about communication, right? It's all about talking. That's the whole thing, right? Let's talk. It's get our emotions out of our body and into words, which is a usable form. It's a usable information to be able to communicate and to be able to understand one another. If you're in a relationship, this is going to be really important, especially if you're starting to be like, oh, the grass is greener on the other side, right? Communicate. What are you feeling? What are the places of discontentment? Why are you feeling dissatisfied? Let's get it out in the open. Let's talk about it and let's resolve it. Number 5 is listening to other people's ideas and opinions. Now, I'm not saying this for you because I don't trust you, right? Or you don't trust yourself. It's not because of that. It's because it will help you to keep an objective mind. You have to remember Neptune coming out here, really adding a very illusionary quality to everything. And sometimes it's helpful for other people looking in to give us more objectivity. So if we are thinking of doing something, ask someone, right? If you're thinking of going somewhere, ask someone, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a good opportunity for X, Y, or Z? Now, let's not forget that Venus, not only is she retrograding in Gemini, but she's also going to be going direct as well. So she'll be going direct and then backwards and then direct again in Gemini. So there are a lot of the benefits of Venus direct in this sign as well. It's not all craziness, So when Venus moves through Gemini normally, she's really courageous. She is really forthright and she's full of vitality and energy, and she really just wants to move and go and to really change herself and to change her life in so many ways. So there are a lot of benefits to this as well. So it's not all be careful kind of stuff. It's okay to go with the flow here, but it is important for you to just, pace yourself and exhibit just a little bit of caution before doing anything huge. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about what Venus retrograde even is. A lot of people don't really understand what retrograde motion is. Of course, it looks like Venus is going back in the sky. Of course, she's not. What's really happening is there's just kind of a relationship between the two planets where, they're very close together and they line up in a very specific way, kind of like the way two cars driving on a freeway, right? You have one car moving at a certain rate, and then you have another car that moves faster, and as it passes the slower car, it looks like that slower planet is moving backwards in the sky. So we have this sort of backwards motion. Now, retrogrades are excellent time for review, like words that begin with RE, like to review, reevaluate, recalibrate, all these kinds of words. This is a good time for that. I want to talk a little bit about what makes this retrograde so special. Every 8 years, she completes a full retrograde cycle. Now, what this means is every 18 months, she will retrograde in only one of 5 areas of the sky. And over the course of an 8-year cycle, she creates this beautiful floral pentagon kind of pattern in the sky. This really represents her connection with beauty, her connection with design, intelligent design, sacred geometry, divinity, all these kinds of beautiful things. She is the planet of beauty, and she creates beautiful patterns in the sky. The last time she was in Gemini, it was 2012. 8 years before that, 2004, she was also in Gemini. Now, I want to bring up 2004 and 2012 for a very specific reason. Every 105 years, she does something in a set of pairs, right? 2004, 2012. She does something that is very uncommon. And this is when she crosses the ecliptic during her retrograde, and we can see her shadow moving across the sun. This is a very exciting astronomical event. It was a big deal in the news. I don't know if you guys remember, like NASA was putting tons and tons of pictures out there. It's a beautiful thing because we get to see our sister planet and her relation to the sun and her relation to us. Now, this kind of eclipse motion, right? She's teeny tiny and she's far away from us, so it's not like she's fully eclipsing the sun or anything. But, this kind of eclipse motion really is kind of like, it really swallows her up. Now, Venus and the sun are enemies. They really, really don't like each other astrologically, okay? They're of totally different camps. One is benefic, one is malefic, and they just simply do not vibe well together. The sun overpowers the softness of Venus because Venus is very elegant and diplomatic and kind, whereas the sun is just it's really loud, it's really hot, and it just kind of swallows her up. So romantically speaking, this eclipse with Venus really getting swallowed up in the sign of Gemini really connects us with our twin energy, and specifically our shadow twins. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh my God, this is so crazy. 2004, 2012, what was happening in your relationships during that time? Because of the darkness of the Venus shadow, it's very likely that many of us were connecting with our dark twins, our shadow twins, our twin flames, our other halves, all of these kinds of things. And those relationships could have really forced us into understanding our own shadow, which is a really powerful thing. So the reason this retrograde now in 2020 is so special is because we are beginning this new 105-year cycle. And the dark shadow side of this isn't really going to be such a prominent thing because it's not happening. So since 2012, we've had an opportunity to really become whole within ourselves because of our exposure to our shadows, which likely happened through another person. So now we've been able to really reconcile our twins, our internal twins. We've been able to reconcile the two parts of ourselves. And now we are more whole, which means we can move forward and develop more healthy relationships and more healthy connections because we're not out there looking for anyone to complete us, because we have an understanding of the true breadth of our personality, of our soul, of our minds, and of our hearts. So now, as of today, April 9th, which is the day I'm filming this video, Venus hits her first degree of shadow phase. Okay, so she's at 5 degrees of Gemini today. So this is between now and May 13th. This is going to be the time when she covers, she's going direct, but she's covering the same degree, portion that she'll be in retrograde. So from 5 degrees to 21 degrees direct, and then she'll move from 21 degrees back all the way to 5 degrees. And then on June 25th, she'll move forward direct again, and then she'll come out of it later on in July. So here we are. Shadow phase of Venus. We're probably going to start seeing some foreshadowing coming out. We're going to see themes that will be repeated throughout the course of the next couple of months. She's going to be in Gemini up until August 7th. So that's like 4 months of Gemini Venus, right? So it's all of April, May, June, and July, right? 4 months. So that's a long time. And it gives us ample opportunity to make a lot of changes, gives us ample opportunity to get creative and to really make some cool things happen for ourselves. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into how this Venus retrograde is going to affect you specifically. So again, description box down below, I talk about why you should select your rising sign. If you don't know it or if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Also, I know that with the Placidus house system and the Western astrology systems, some signs can be really sandwiched in and, move between different houses. I also put, the house number as well. So if you have Gemini between your 4th and 5th house, you can check out both because both areas might be affected. Okay, so again, all that will be in the description box down below. And let's go ahead and get into it. If you are an Aries ascendant, or if you have Gemini in the 3rd, then this is for you. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Mercury influence going on here because it is a Mercury-ruled house and it is a Mercury-ruled sign of Gemini, okay? Now, I know we're talking about a Venus retrograde, but Mercury is a very, playful kind of energy. He loves to play and he loves to play tricks on people. And because of the Neptunian influence coming out here, it's very likely that you might find yourself in a situation that you're like, wait, how did this happen? Or how did this get out of hand? Or I don't understand how I got so captured or so, drawn into some kind of a mini drama or something. Like, I don't get it. I think you're going to have this malleable quality here, where if you're smart, you'll kind of keep your mouth shut. You won't gossip. You won't talk behind people's backs. You won't say anything that you wouldn't say to anyone to their face. If you're smart, you're going to do that. If you're not so smart, you're going to get caught up in things. So please make sure that you only speak kindness. You only say good things. You only engage in conversations that are productive and effective and actually create something of beauty in the world. On a completely different note, this is also about listening. And I know that Gemini, it's so stereotyped with talking, but Gemini rules the ears and it has a lot to do with what we hear and how we process information, right? Because Gemini likes to connect dots. It is of a lower mind. This is not an exceptionally high level philosophical house. So this is about keeping your life really basic and doing basic things. And okay, I got to send that email. I got to do this. I got to do X, Y, or Z, which by the way, can be really good for business. Like really good social media, sending emails to clients, following up, all those kinds of things. Excellent time for that kind of stuff. But listen, right? Listen to the needs of your friends. Listen to the needs of your clients. Listen to the people that you're doing business with and you're interacting with on a daily basis, because there's going to be a lot of excellent information that comes in that can help you really maneuver in a way to your benefit. Now would be a great time if you are an entrepreneur to put out some kind of a survey or a poll. Hey, clients, I just want to touch base with you and see, what do you think of my service? What do you think of my products? Tell me what you think. And as much as sometimes we kind of don't like other people's opinions, it is a good opportunity for us to make revisions in our creative efforts, right? Venus. We can revise the way we do things in a way that helps people that much more. Okay, so I know that there's a lot of things that this house has to do with, okay? So it's not just communication. It is a house of commerce and business. It is a house of courage and our life force. I suspect a lot of you are going to be being a little bit risky with things. Now remember, Don't make financial risks. You can be risky a little bit with putting yourself out there or doing a new marketing initiative just to experiment. If there's a huge loss on the line, I wouldn't do it at this time. But if it's experimental and putting yourself out there in some way, shape, or form that could actually benefit you in the long run, that's excellent stuff to do, especially if it utilizes your creativity. So there's this courageousness, this life force, this vital energy. I think you're going to feel very energized, and you're going to feel like you actually want to go out and do things. You're going to feel motivated in a lot of ways. It's a good time to incorporate your social life with your professional life. Let's tie those two things in together, like doing business over brunch or doing business at a party or a cocktail hour or something like that, right? Those kinds of connections are going to really work out well for you. This is also a house of travel, right? Travel and pleasure. Really, Venus loves to do these things. She really prioritizes pleasure over work. Any day of the week, she's going to pick the fun thing. So if you do have an opportunity to travel, even if it's a short distance, right? Like, I live in Vegas, so maybe it's like Vegas to LA or something like that. That would be a really wonderful thing to do. Like, go lay on the beach, go soak up the sun, go really enjoy your life, go enjoy your time, and do it with people that you really care about. Third house also has to do with sports, oddly enough, right? Especially in the classical astrology system. This is a house of sports, a house of competition. The only person you should be competing against, though, is yourself during this time. Because again, Neptune's going to make things weird. So don't try to figure out what other people are doing. Don't try to figure out, don't care about what anyone else is saying, what anyone else is doing in terms of your competition or people you're working, in the same field with. Don't worry about what your friends are doing. Just really focus on you, because it can get a little out of hand, and you might find yourself caring a little too much what someone else is thinking. This is also a house that has to do with your siblings, specifically your younger siblings. So if you are an oldest child or something, you may be connecting with your younger brothers and sisters and, just reaching out saying, hey, maybe you guys are more friendly right now during this time. If there's any kind of sibling rivalry, now would be a good time to, put that to bed. Diplomatically, of course, kind of figure it out, even it out, allow for some kind of agreement or some kind of truce to be made. This is also a house of art. Okay, so if you guys are artistic, right, the beauty and artistic aesthetic of Venus will really come in handy. If you're a designer, if you're an artist, if you are someone that's, photographer, whatever, I think you're going to feel that desire to just like really be in your creative space. That's another reason why you shouldn't be super involved in any kind of mini dramas going out there, because you'll just be wasting your creative energy. And why? Like, why would you put yourself in those scenarios or in that situation where this is such an excellent time to really tap into the universe, to tap into your higher self, and to create and put something beautiful into the world? And last but not least, Aries, I wanted to pull an oracle card for you just to give you something else to chew on here. Let's see. Okay, definitely this one, which is protection. You do have to protect yourself a little bit. You have to protect your path. You have to protect your creativity and your energy. That Neptunian energy, it really is going to make things confusing. It is going to stir the pot. It is going to make things a little bit dramatic. So you have to protect it. To stay out of things that aren't worthwhile is going to set you up for just a lot of really good productivity moments. All right. So protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your intelligence, protect your reputation, all right? Because it's so easy to get involved in gossip, so easy to get involved in what your neighbors and your coworkers and your friends and your family drama and all that. It's so easy to do it. Don't do it. Protect yourself, okay? Beautiful message for you. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. Take care. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. A lot of little extra things to think about. So I hope you have an excellent season. I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, if you have a Taurus ascendant, or if you have Gemini in the second house, then this reading is for you. So this Venus retrograde is going to be especially relevant for you because this is your ruling planet, right? Venus, but it's also happening in your natural house, right? It's happening in your natural second house. So this is going to be an interesting time in terms of just your natural personality. So Venus in the second can affect a lot of different kinds of areas. One is your speech and the utilization of your voice and actually really creating sounds, okay, music, singing, all that involved. Money, for sure. Food, definitely, and your family, okay? So there's a lot of different things that could really come out here. It's going to be beneficial for you to speak. It's going to be beneficial for you to convert feelings and emotion through song. So even if you're just in your car, singing along to your favorite songs, that is an excellent way to utilize your energy during this time. Of course, being able to talk things through, being able to communicate with people is also an excellent way. So if there are issues in your relationships, all right, Venus retrograde can always bring up stuff. So talking is going to be able to appease and reach some kind of an equilibrium with one another. There could be an element of, avoidance during this time, I feel. Really not wanting to confront because Venus is not a very confrontational sign. So it might be the case where some of you, you're experiencing some tension or it's a little bit weird in your connections and you just simply don't want to confront it. That's very common. And Taurus can be your Earth, and it, has a reputation for being a little bit stubborn. So there is an element of, not communicating and not exposing yourself and not being vulnerable. That will not serve you. That will not work. Your vulnerability is your power right now, because it is only through vulnerability that you can really come to terms and you can really rectify situations. Financially, it is an excellent time for you to review your finances, not necessarily to make big moves or to make big jumps. It is a time for you to go through your balance sheet, to go through your portfolio, to reassess things, and to research, right? So if you are hoping to get into the speculative markets or to, purchase certain stocks, now is a time to do your research and to pay attention to what's really going on. Because of the volatility of the market, because of this pandemic and this whole global economic collapse, crazy amounts of, stuff going on, research is a good idea anyway, so it's not advisable to just haphazardly go buy things because the market isn't like on an upswing right now. So just be cognizant of that. And because of the luxury quality of the second house as well, large items, especially cars or, items for your home, just simply not advisable. Saving money will be good. Saving money will definitely be good. And, that's something that you are probably pretty good at anyway with your Taurus influence there. So that's great. Nothing more to say about that. There is an element of early childhood, family life, nostalgia that might come up during this time. Definitely an ex for sure. That certainly could be a thing. Again, they're an ex for a reason. Just make sure that you stay in the present. There might be an opportunity, like you're out shopping or something and you see something that reminds you of when you were a kid. You might want to buy that, incorporate that into your life, or you may decide to hang up some old family photos. Those would be beautiful things for you to do during this time. Pictures of your own family, spending more time with your family and being really in your safe, your kind of domestic space. Food is also a part of the second house as well. I don't think I listed that in the beginning, but food is definitely a thing here. So, watch what you eat. If you're on some kind of a daily regimen, meal plan kind of system, maybe bring in a buddy, right? Venus is all about partnership. So bring in some kind of an accountability buddy to help you to stay focused, to help you stay fit. Make sure you continue going to the gym. Make sure you continue doing the things that, you need to do for the sake of your health. Pay attention to how much alcohol, sugar, sodium, and fats that you're consuming. Make sure it's like healthy nutrition that you're getting, because there can be an overindulgence with Venus in this house. And it's going to be in there for 4 months. So there could be an opportunity. That's enough time to gain weight, right? 4 months is a long time. So gaining weight, definitely a possibility if you're not cognizant and if you're not careful. If there is a friend that comes to you and says, hey, I have a great idea for a business opportunity, remember Neptune, probably not a good idea to do that. Now, the second house also has a lot to do with the face. specifically, okay? Don't do any kind of rhinoplasty or anything. I know I said that in the beginning, but I'm just going to reiterate that for you. Plastic surgery, especially on the face, not a good idea. All right, last but not least, I'm going to pull a card for you. Let's talk a little bit more about what you need to know here from a metaphysical perspective. Like this one, courage. Oh, beautiful. Now, Gemini is a sign of courage, by the way, you guys. It is a sign that has a lot to do with our life force, our vitality, our fearlessness. And there might need to be, you know, like I was saying, vulnerability. I feel like the courage is applied to vulnerability. The courage is applied to saying what you feel, expressing yourself, exposing yourself, allowing yourself to be a little bit raw. And I know that some of you might be dealing with, you know, second house Gemini, Taurus, Ascendant people who are men. Men might have a little bit more difficulty with this than the women, just given culture. Okay, so for men specifically, courage is very important for vulnerability. There's also an element here, if you are applying yourself in any creative ways, to be courageous in your creativity, right? Push the limits. If you're, like I say, like, don't be afraid to sing in your car or to sing in your shower. Don't be afraid to let people hear you. Don't be afraid to let people hear your voice. Okay? I love this picture. It's so pretty, right? Like the waves just crashing up against the rocks. Like, who cares if there's rocks there? You just go for it. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. I hope you have an excellent season, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, if you are a Gemini ascendant, or if you know you have Gemini in the first house, then this reading is for you. First house, right? What is this house really all about? Well, it's about you. It's about your body. It's about your ego, your confidence. It's about all about you. Now, I know Venus is a planet of relationships, okay? So there's an element of you and you in your relationships. Now, I know not everyone is involved in a romantic partnership. That's perfectly fine. It's just going to be about you. And there's going to be an opportunity for you to really reevaluate a lot of things about yourself. Now, this is a good kind of reevaluation. It's not dark. It's not heavy. It's not dense. It's not transformative. It's just logical, right? The combination of Gemini with Venus, it's like, it's very productive. It just wants to like go in, find the problem and fix it and just move on, right? It's not drudgery in any way, shape, or form. A lot of you are going to find a lot of healing and a lot of good things coming from exercise, because the first house is all about your body, taking care of yourself. Get to the gym. You know, if you've been kind of off your plan lately, given this whole pandemic thing, now would be an excellent time, you know, or now I say like in May and June during the Venus retrograde would be an excellent time to get back in the gym. Get back in the gym, start eating really well, because things surface for you, right? You know, like it's one of those things where even if you're a yoga person as well, yoga would be great for you guys to do too. But it's like, you know, when you're off the mat for a while and then you have to come and face yourself on the mat, it's hard because it gives you a very real reflection of how lazy you were or how much of a slacker you were. And I think there's going to be things that come out like this of like, you really are slacking. You really are letting yourself fall through the cracks a little bit. And it's you against yourself. This is not necessarily you against other people, although you can definitely have things being mirrored back to you through other people. We'll talk about that in just a second. But really, it's you looking at yourself. Now, because of the influence of Neptune, remember there is a weird illusionary or delusionary quality coming out. So make sure you're not too hard on yourself. People with really big egos during this time might get their egos pumped up, which could ultimately completely deflate later on and be like really, really kind of a hard thing. So humility is very important. Now, coming back to what I just said, it's important for you not to put too much emphasis on what you think other people think. Now, that's good advice anyway, but if you do too much of that during a Venus retrograde, it is going to come back and bite you in the ass. What I mean by this is, if you think that someone thinks something about you, it's likely that something is going to happen that really spirals back around. It says, nope, what's actually true is that you just think that about yourself. So if you think that someone thinks you're dumb, okay, let's just use that as an example. You think this person thinks you're dumb. What really might be coming back is that you just have no confidence in your own mind at all. That's really what's going on. Has nothing to do with what this person thinks, because likely that person does not think that at all. So be careful how much credence you put on what you think other people think. Especially in the workplace, right? Especially with your friends. You know, like, you don't want to be walking around thinking that your boss thinks that you're an ineffective worker, because that's just going to make you more ineffective, when what's really happening is just you might not like your job, right? Or whatever. So you have to be real with yourself. Continually check in with yourself and ask yourself, like, you know, where am I making too many assumptions? Where am I projecting out a little bit too much? Scale it back, bring it back into you. Now, any alterations to your appearance during this time, really, really not advisable. Again, Venus retrograde can make us like dye our hair a crazy color, or cut it, or do bangs, or something that we really don't want to do, that we regret just a couple weeks later. So going to the gym, good, right? Cleaning out your closet, good. Buying a whole bunch of new clothes, not good. Plastic surgery, definitely not good. Now, the first house also represents the way we enter into the world. This is, boom, our first kind of breath of life. Our soul convenes with our body, and now we are having this human experience. So when it comes to initiation, when it comes to initiating new projects, new business ventures, this actually might be a really good time, just so long as you know the long-term game. We do have Mars retrograde happening later on in the year in the sign of Aries. So it's kind of a weird false start kind of year for a lot of people. But if you really believe that this is truly in line with your purpose and your soul feels really good about it, then by all means, go for it, because you may have some extra free time to be able to do it. And it's probably going to be more in line with your values, right, Venus, than many other things in the past. All right, so for the last little bit, I want to go ahead and pull out an oracle card, if I could say the word. Pull out an oracle card here, see what's coming through. Miracles. Oh, so pretty, and I love the rainbow in this card. I'm going to put the link to this deck down below if any of you guys want to buy it. It's on Amazon, so you can buy it. But miracles. And I think the best word about a rainbow is a promise, right? That rainbows promise things. And it promises a future. It promises the thing that you want. It promises the love that you desire. It promises whatever. It's a good time to really cast a wish. Almost kind of like a wish upon a shooting star kind of vibe is what I'm getting from this right now, because during a Venus retrograde, amazing things can happen, right? Amazing things can really happen. And there can be odd evolutions, right? That things may evolve in ways that we never would have thought possible. Venus is so connected with the beauty. She's so connected with divinity that her influence here is definitely going to be felt in terms of like how miraculous something may seem. So make sure you're casting out good vibes. Make sure you're staying positive. Make sure you are keeping your eye on the goal and really focusing on the things that you love. Okay? Beautiful, guys. I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. Take care. All right, if you are a Cancer ascendant, or if you know you have Gemini in the 12th house, then this is for you. So Venus in the 12th. Let's talk about the 12th house. 12th house is one of the strangest houses in this, if not the most strange house in the zodiac, because it really represents our final liberation. It represents us breaking free from this karmic cycle and free from this physical attachment altogether. There is an element of loss and suffering. There's an element of isolation. There's an element of deep spirituality, and it represents our unconscious mind. So Venus coming through here is really going to impact your karma. because there's this reevaluation, right? Remember the re words, to reevaluate, recalibrate, all those kinds of things, but to reevaluate the attachments that you have. And because Venus is such a worldly energy, right? She represents money, she represents romantic love, she represents beauty, all those kinds of things. You know, she's a very worldly energy. So there is a detachment from worldly things. Questions like, what is continually holding me back? What do I really need to release here? What should I be letting go? Whom should I be letting go? Especially past lovers, definitely. And because of this need for you to let things go, it's possible that an ex will return or something will resurface just for the sake of you being able to cut it loose once and for all. There's something very empowering about saying, wow, I really don't want this anymore. Right? That's an incredibly powerful statement for anybody to make. And I think you're going to have that. There may be a feeling of not caring so much about money during this time, which weirdly enough, it's like when you stop caring, maybe money comes in. So there might be money coming in for you, but it's because you've really let go. You've let go of a desire. You've let go of a desperation in some way, shape, or form. You might really be valuing your alone time during this time, right? Really wanting to be isolated and to go deep into your spiritual practices. Some of you may begin developing or enhancing your already existing, your intuition, your empathic qualities, your psychic abilities, your ability to really connect with things, your healing talents. If you do work in the area of health, like if you are a nurse or a doctor or a nutritionist or a fitness instructor or something like that, this will be a time when I think you feel really connected to your work and you feel empowered and grateful for being able to do what you do. There is an element here of foreign people, foreign travel. So if you do have an opportunity to travel, I highly recommend going to a different country or someplace that may seem foreign. I know like some countries like the US, like we're so huge, there's a big difference between Portland and Miami, right? It's like two totally different things. So, going someplace that seems foreign or that is new, someplace where you can experience a new culture and enrich your lives in some way culturally. This transit is going to offer you the opportunity to forgive. That may be something that's quite difficult for some of you, but it's a necessity. And Venus is reminding you that we are here not to continue our patterns. We're here to learn and to grow, to evolve, and to change. And one of the best ways to do that is to let go of things. It is these attachments that keep us continually coming back into this world over and over and over, incarnating here all over the place, all over again, simply to resolve things. So now is an opportunity for you to resolve things. If there was some kind of injustice in your marriage or in your relationships or in past loves, the question of can I forgive might come to fruition of like, can I really let this go? Is it even possible? The answer is, of course, yes, but you're going to get hit with like you're not forgiving, and it's holding you back. I think you're going to be very keenly aware that this is something that's going on. Some of you may be indulging a little bit more. 12th house is about bed pleasure, right? So sleeping, cozying up in your bed, watching Netflix or TV in your bed, having sex. And this isn't like hardcore physical sex. It's more dreamy, more sleepy kinds of sex that's more spiritual than anything else. So if you are married, you are probably going to be feeling very sexual. Venus is a very sexual planet and she loves to explore and express herself sexually. Some of you may be finding yourself sleeping a lot more, but also experiencing dreams as well. There is an element of escapism with the 12th house, which can be good to an extent, but if you are trying to escape through alcohol or smoking too much weed or any other kind of substance, that's definitely not a good idea. And because of the Neptunian influence on Venus right now, it's just like, it makes me really nervous because it could be a time where people could relapse. Could be, if you've been trying to quit, if you had, if you're an alcoholic or anything like that, this could be a time where you feel like, oh my God, I really, really, really want that drink. Life is getting a bit too weird. Things are happening that are too out there. I can't really figure it out. I need a drink. So make sure that if you are in that kind of situation, that you connect with your sponsor, you connect with the people that, really support you and are really trying to help you to, overcome that kind of behavior, to make sure that you're like, hey, just so you know, it might be a weird couple of months and I might need you a little bit more often, just maybe they'll check in on you a little bit more. It's just something to think about. If you have an opportunity to go to the water, whether it's an ocean or a lake or someplace where you feel very connected with that element, I think you're going to have, especially if you actually do have a Cancer rising, you are going to feel, a little bit more connected to the water than normal at this time. This is a house of loss, and because Venus is a sign of money or a planet of money, do be careful of your investments right now. I absolutely do not recommend making any risky movements right now. Some signs I'm going to say like, yeah, okay, if you want to kind of, throw a couple bucks in the slot machine, like it's fine, but for you guys, I don't recommend that at all. I think it's going to be, it's just going to get kind of sucked away from you because that's the essence of the 12th house. It just continually is taken away. Now, if Venus was just going through direct, I wouldn't say that because Venus loves to be in the 12th. There is an element of making a lot of money when you have Venus in the 12th, but because she's going backwards, I'm a little bit hesitant to say that. I don't think that's a good idea. And you may even experience like an extra expense that you weren't expecting either. Some of you may be feeling a little bit more charitable than normal as well. Donating money, dedicating time, volunteering, helping a neighbor with something. All these kinds of things will be excellent activities for you to do, which can, again, help you to get out of your own headspace, help you to get out of, your weird kind of funk if you do find yourself in one. And, you'll find a little bit more gratitude for your day-to-day life. Last thing, I want to pull out an oracle card for you guys. Let's go ahead and see what these cards have to say. I'll put a link to this deck in the description box if you guys want to check it out. Ooh, leadership. That's kind of an interesting thing, just given what we already talked about. I think the leadership quality here is in the realm of the forgiving, in the realm of moving on, in the realm of, setting new precedents. We can be our own leader and we can be leaders for other people. If you forgive, maybe they will forgive too. If you go out on a limb and say what you feel, then maybe they will too. I think maybe the Cancerian, if you are in fact a first house Cancer, you may have that cardinal quality kind of kicking in a little bit here and saying, I want to move forward with this. I want to be direct. I want to be, cardinal, right? I want to get this going. So, your example is going to be really beautiful at this time. And you may notice people following suit, and you may notice things falling in line according to your actions. You may see things manifesting quite quickly, which is really beautiful. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Hope you have an excellent season. Talk to you soon. All right, if you have a Leo ascendant or if you know you have Gemini in the 11th house, then this is for you. Okay, the 11th house we love. You guys love the 11th house. This is such a cool place to be. It has a lot to do with money and wealth. Like when I say money, I mean like easy money. Money you don't have to clock in 9 to 5. It's not that kind of money. It's like money that you earn through speculative investments in the stock market and money that other people give to you to go do things. It's money that you really don't have to really think about or work for. There's no debt here involved at all. It has a lot to do with your friends, the people that you associate with, your clubs. It's fun. It's kind of like a Leo vibe. It's a house of pleasure. It's a house of joy. And there are so many beautiful things to be had. Now, with Venus retrograde in this particular section of the sky, you guys might be reevaluating who you're spending your time with. Who are your friends? What is going on? Who is no longer in line with your values? Okay, now, there could be some stuff that comes up where Maybe someone lies to you because remember Neptune plus Gemini is very trickstery. Mercury likes to play his little games. He likes to meddle. He likes to get involved. So there could be a little bit of a mini drama going on in your friend circle. There could be someone who's having some kind of an issue and you kind of need to come to the rescue a little bit. Maybe it's time for you to really reevaluate with whom you should be spending more time with and people that you need to, kind of reduce the amount of time. I'm not saying you have to cut anybody out. I don't know that Venus retrograde is really about like hard and fast lines. She really does want compromise. She wants a win-win. She wants everyone to work together. She wants collaboration. But still, with the reevaluation quality of a Venus retrograde, we are going to be thinking a lot about what works, what doesn't work, what is of benefit, what's not of benefit, and friends can be a part of that. Now, in terms of your finances, while I do not necessarily recommend going off and, putting a whole bunch of money down on black at the roulette table, I do recommend thinking about what you can do to bring in more passive income, right? Like I say, money you don't have to work for. Create the creativity of Gemini, which is like big enough as it is, plus the creativity and the beauty and the aesthetic of Venus. When you put these two things together, you have an ability to make a lot of adjustments in your business, in your life, in your day-to-day. Put these two things together, create something of value, create something wonderful that people want to buy, right? Putting your value into a package and selling it over and over and over and over again. Passive income is probably going to be something that you really are thinking a lot about. It's going to depend on your own individual talents, your own individual interests of like what you can do. So this is too general of a reading, so I can't really get into that now, but really start thinking about it. Some of you are going to start getting more active on social from a professional context. If you are looking for a promotion or a raise in your job, that is, I'm going to say it's possible during a Venus retrograde. I'm going to say it is. Maybe some people would say it's not a good time to ask for a raise, but because it's 11th house, which is such a lucky house, similar to you if you are in fact a Leo ascendant, there is an element of luck that could happen here. And it's important for you to really understand your true value. So if you don't really understand the true value that you bring to the table, like within a company, it might be a good time for you to really ask yourself, like, am I seeing these things clearly? Ask a friend, right? Ask people like, hey, am I doing a good job? Like, is this working? Is this valuable? What can I do to get better? What can I do to become a more invaluable asset? That kind of thing, because then that can be leveraged later on into more money. Now, in terms of romance, there could be a tendency during this time to meet someone via your friend group or develop a relationship with a friend. Be careful of doing that. Like I said in the very beginning, it's not a good time to jump into new relationships. It's not a good time to run and go get married and oh my God, it's not a good time for that. So be cautious, be careful. If you're already married, if you're already in an established relationship, it could be a time where you want to do things more friendly. It's not the most sexual place. It's not the most heated chemical place. Let's go out and have a good time. Let's do the things that we love to do that we have in common. Let's go to a concert. Let's go do a hike. Let's, go out to a nice restaurant and go see a show or, those kinds of things, like things we have in common that we both really like to do. If you have an older sibling, this is going to be a good time to connect with them specifically. 11th house does, associate with the eldest sibling. Reach out to them, go to lunch with them if you can, and just, enjoy their company and see if they need anything. 11th house has strong humanitarian implications as well. So if you are involved in any kind of, charitable organizations or human rights organizations, animal rights, any of those kinds of things, now would be an excellent time to either volunteer or start donating money or doing things that, contribute to a greater a better world. Now, this is also a house of hopes and wishes and like the attainment of wishes and great gains. So if you're not really sure of what you want in life, I'm kind of seeing this Venus retrograde for you specifically, not for everybody, but I'm seeing this Venus retrograde as kind of a shooting star where you can cast a wish. And it kind of has a magical quality to it being here where you can say, hey, universe, I'm really wanting, this amount of money, or I'm really wanting to fall in love. I'm really wanting X, Y, or Z, because the 11th house plus its connection with Gemini, which is an air sign. So the 11th house is an air sign ruled Aquarius house, plus it's in Gemini. So it's very low friction. All right, what you guys have got going on. It's really low friction. There's not a lot of, resistance in this house at all, especially being in Gemini. It's very quick, right? Hermes, messenger, wings on his shoes, it's very fast. So start making wishes, light a candle, blow it out. It's your birthday, right? Do that. Whatever you got to do a little spell, because I do feel that the turnaround time will be kind of fast. All right, last but not least, let's pull out an oracle card. I will put a link to this deck down in the description box down below in case you want to check it out. For Gemini in the 11th house. I feel like this one's popping out here. Ooh, power. There's the electrical component coming out here as well. Now, the 11th house is naturally ruled by Uranus, right, which is a lightning electrical planet. So I do feel an electrical vibe come. This is what I'm saying. Like it's powerful right now. And your ability to wish, your ability to ask, it's here. So don't worry about it, right? Just ask for what you want. Think big, right? This is the house of great gains, and Venus loves money. She loves gains. She loves friendship. She loves promotion. She loves to grow. So what do you want, right? That's the big question. What do you guys want? Ask for it. You can even envision, like a little meditation for you guys, you can even envision yourself. That like Tesla tower where it was like this big tower in the center of his workshop and there was that big ball up top and it had all the electricity like going all around. You can even just envision yourself like that for the sake of, sending out the signal, right? You are an electrical being. We live in an electrical universe. You can connect electrically to whatever you want. Do it. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. Have an excellent season and I'll talk to you soon. Alrighty, if you are a Virgo ascendant or if you have Gemini in the 10th, then this reading is for you. Alrighty, we know you guys work hard, right? We know you work hard and we know you have been working hard, especially if you're in the healthcare industry right now, right? Given the pandemic and everything that's going on, if you're living in a condensed area that has a lot of cases and all of that, we know you're working really hard. It's super important for you to maybe pump the brakes. I think that's what Venus is really asking you to do here, to incorporate a little bit more pleasure into your life. Now, I just recorded the Virgo Ascendant section, and then I pulled out the Oracle card and some light bulb clicked and it was like, boom, oh my gosh, I have to re-record this because I completely left out this element of pleasure. Okay, so the card that came out was pleasure. And I'm going to pull another card for you near the end, but I just wanted to show you that like I didn't even talk about this, so I wanted to do this whole thing again. 10th house is a house of our career, right? It's a house of our public place, of honors, of accolades, of government. There is an element of servitude, though, with the 10th house. This is not a pleasurable, like 11th house, joyful, abundant kind of house. There can be a lot of rewards to be had with 10th house activity, but we do have to earn it. This house, it delays, it never denies, but it definitely delays things. And you might be asking yourself during this time, what am I even doing, right? In your workplace, what am I even doing? There's probably going to be coming up to the forefront of your mind a question of time, right? Time. Well, how am I spending my time? Is this worth it? Some of you who are totally in line with your purpose, right? Your purpose, your calling, if you will. If you are already utilizing your natural affinities and things like that, there can still be an added emphasis on this of like, well, okay, I'm already doing it, but how can I expand on it? How can I contribute even more? How can I make the world even better? And if you're completely off track, like if you are doing a job that you hate, but you're just doing for the money, then it's become like a thankless job, right? It's not something you're passionate about. And there could be some resentment that builds up during this time about what you're doing. Now, be very careful. I do not recommend making major career transitions right now. I really, really don't. Unless you're someone who has been laid off, actually freeing you up to choose something new now, okay? But if you are kind of dependent on your job and you need the money, I don't recommend making massive revision to this right now. You can wait until August and September for that, probably like more August, but maybe even till 2021. I don't know. 2020 is just a weird year. And I did say at the beginning of the year in a lot of my February readings that this was a year of laying foundational blocks. It's not a year that's going to go up. And now here we are with this whole pandemic thing, right? So don't be impulsive. Don't just pick up and move, right? Remember those rose-colored glasses, not only with Venus retrograde, but with the Neptunian influence, it's even that much stronger. Please, please, please be careful during this time and just pump the brakes, relax, okay? Now, if you've been working really hard, now is a time for you to explore a little bit more pleasure, to enjoy your life a little bit more. And how can you incorporate pleasure with your career, right? With how you are seen, with how are you perceived, and what people think of you and how people identify with you, right? Merging these two things together. I think the creativity during this time for everybody, this is a blanket statement because of the Gemini influence, it's really at an all-time high. Ideas are flowing, creativity is going, everyone is brainstorming, everyone is thinking, everyone is da-da-da-da-da. And, it's a great time to just put a whole bunch of Post-its up on your mirror or your wall or your closet door, whatever, and just let them percolate, right? Get them on paper, put a Post-it, stick it up there and be like, okay, this is maybe what I want to do, or I want to explore this, I want to research this a little bit more, da-da-da-da-da. And then as we make our way into July, Venus starts going back direct again. That's when you can start rereading all of your Post-its and being like, here's one I like, and here's one that really appeals to me, and here's this one. And you can, take a whole bunch of ideas and scale it down to just a few so that you can really redirect your path. Now, in terms of a romantic context, if you fall in love with someone at work or you start, sleeping with someone at work or whatever, be careful of boundaries here, especially if this person is your boss. It can get a little complicated later on. Again, rose-colored glasses. You may see it as a certain way, and it can get funky, it can get wonky. So, just make sure that you have expectations set, you have boundaries that are very clear, and, that it's at least appropriate in some way, shape, or form. Maybe what was once appropriate now or inappropriate now all of a sudden doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Now all of a sudden lines are crossed and it can get just kind of strange. You also may during this time reevaluate the people that you look up to, the people that you respect, the leaders that you respect, leaders with the company, leaders with your spirituality, leaders with, your father especially, all those kinds of things. There can be a question there. Now, the 10th house does have a lot to do with our father, and there's an element of wealth, our father's wealth. Your father, if he's still around and if you're still connected with him, there could be some interesting things that go on with his money during this time as well. So maybe just check in on him and make sure he's doing okay. All right, let's go ahead and tap into another. I know I already pulled out that first card, but I didn't talk about the pleasure part. I know you're working hard. I know you're doing it, but it really is time for you to, enjoy your life. And Venus wants you to know that. She wants you to find the beautiful things in this world and really connect with those as much as possible. Ooh, and love. Well, pleasure and love, they go hand in hand. I'll put the link to the deck in the description if you're curious about it. But yeah, love, universal love. Venus is all about love, love of what you do, love of your life, love of another person, love of your own passions. You're going to be forced to think about the good things in life during this transit. You are going to be forced to think about the pleasurable things and the things that feel good, and love is definitely a part of that. And that's going to be probably one of the most important things that comes up for you in your life. Remember what I said in the beginning, that if you are in a challenged relationship or if there are issues in your relationship, don't just end it. It's not a good time to just cut everything off. Please wait a couple months. If it really isn't working, that's fine. You can end it later. But just make sure, because sometimes we make really impulsive decisions based on, like, again, illusion things, and it's not really real. And it could harm a relationship or cause distrust. So if you're having issues, just talk, right? Gemini, talk about things, get it out in the open, because it may actually really bring two people together. Now, I know this is supposed to be all about your career, but the love card came out, which tells me y'all are going to be asked to really focus on that. All right, and that's it, you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you have an excellent season. I'll talk to you soon. Alrighty, if you have a Libra ascendant, or if you know you have Gemini in the 9th house, then this reading is for you. 9th house, what is it? House of spirituality, gurus, our connection with God, prosperity, long distance or foreign travel, connections with our higher selves, our own divinity, higher level education, right? Universities, master's, doctorate programs, all those kinds of things definitely included in here. There's also an element of publication for all you writers out there, and also like laws and lawyers. So that could apply to a global collective, but also for our own individual moral structure that we've constructed for ourselves, our own laws, if you will. So when Venus retrograde happens here, what could happen? First of all, if you're going to travel, please enjoy it and make it a spiritual experience. This is going to be an opportunity for you to go someplace, hopefully if you can, go someplace you've never gone before. Go on an adventure to learn more about your spirit, to learn more about your soul. Go someplace you've never gone before, try new food, talk to new people, go to a new kind of temple, experience a new kind of religion, learn from other people. This will be an extraordinarily enriching opportunity for you here, because Venus retrograde will always challenge our own beliefs. She'll always challenge what we think to be true. And so when it comes to our beliefs, it's good to really just open yourself up, because let's not forget, right? Gemini is a really educational kind of sign. It's all about learning and really coming into an understanding in the 9th house. This is about putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. But it's a natural Jupiterian ruled house. So there's an expansiveness here. So your absorption level is really, really high. So whatever you're trying to learn right now, whatever you're trying to gather, you will be doing so quickly and effectively. I really think your spiritual practice is going to reach new heights. If you are in the market for a lover, it's likely that you may find a spiritual connection with someone, or someone that you respect on a spiritual level that you'll also connect with romantically. But be careful. There could be an element of falsehood here, right? Don't just think because someone does X, Y, or Z, or because they said certain things, that they are truly this guru and, fall deeply in love with them. Let's pump the brakes on that. Let's be a little bit more realistic. I think the Venus retrograde here wants to just absolutely believe in the best in everybody, and it wants everyone to succeed and everyone to be happy, and it just wants everything for everybody. But there can still be some very deceptive characters out there, and you might be susceptible to that just because you are in this place of believing in the greater good and believing in the best in everybody. So romantically, just be careful, right? It was rule number 1 of my 5 things to avoid is jumping into a new relationship, especially if it's with a guru spiritual kind of person. Just pump the brakes. If it works out later on, great, but just take your time with it. I would avoid sexual contact or sexual union, and really develop the emotional connection first, and to develop true respect for each other, right? Make sure it's not just you respecting them, make sure they respect you as well. I would set that sexual boundary pretty hard and fast, simply because I don't want anyone to feel like they're getting taken advantage of. If you are in any kind of higher education process, like I said, a master's degree or a doctorate program, man alive, you're like a sponge. I can't even accentuate this enough. Like, the sponge quality of learning for you right now is just really at an all-time high. You will be more productive in your studies. You will be more productive in your writing and being able to, really convey ideas and really high-level concepts in a detailed way that people can really understand. I think that the writing that comes out for ninth house Gemini people during this 4-month phase is just going to be absolutely exceptional. So whether you just write for yourself in your journal, that's a great thing to do. Or if you are writing a book, this is also a great thing to do. In terms of money, right, Venus money, this is a house of prosperity and good fortune. Okay, so even though she's going retrograde, I do see things that you put your time and energy and effort into right now is actually paying off. So you might not see the reward right away. It might not be a super quick turnaround, but it will come around and it will pay off big time. So keep those creative things going, keep putting the content out there, keep working, keep doing X, Y, and Z, because you will see the benefit. That's pretty much a guarantee. All right, last thing for you guys, I'm going to pull out an oracle card. Let's go ahead and take a look here. The link to this oracle card will be in the description box, or this oracle deck. Healing chaos. And that might be the spirituality component here. Yes, the Neptune, man. See, Neptune does not get enough credit for being a creator of chaos. I think we often attribute that to like Pluto and Uranus, but Neptune to me is the worst because it is so like out of the blue, so confusing. Now, your own spirituality and your own connection with yourself is going to be really on point because of this connection. But, it's just with other people, I struggle, right? Venus is always the other person. So when it comes to other people, just have your guard up, keep your intuition kind of on point. Make sure you check in with yourself. Make sure you ask yourself the right questions. Because there can be a bit of a disturbance coming through here. And this could be economically as well. There could be a high-level concept coming through here, but I'm trying to keep it individually. So just allow the chaos to happen. It will be healing. It will be a good thing eventually. But, the more going with the flow you can be, the better during this time. Okay? Healing chaos. Oh, that Neptune. I swear. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an excellent season. Take care. If you have a Scorpio ascendant, or if you have Gemini in the 8th house, then this reading is for you. Let's talk about the romance angle on this, okay? I have to laugh because it's kind of the only way to really react. So the 8th house is your natural house. So normally I would say, oh my God, this is such a deep house, but you guys probably vibe with this energy pretty okay. It's deep, right? It's deep, it's intense, it's fierce, it's dominating, it's controlling, it's powerful. A lot of things coming out here. Let's talk about the romance angle. So if you are single and you meet someone during this time, it's likely to be quite tumultuous, okay? Whenever a relationship begins with a Venus transit in the 8th, I'm not saying it's bad, but it creates intensity, and there can be intense passion and sexual attraction, right? This is a house of sex. Intense passion, chemical reactions. It's very animal-like, and the sex probably will be amazing. But it's like, okay, well, if you want the sex for just the sex, that's great. You can definitely have it. But if you want a relationship, it's probably going to be a hard thing to really mesh or to really mold together. It has a tendency to create a dark shadow side coming out. Doesn't mean it definitely has to be like that. Again, every person is different and every individual is on their own individual path of consciousness. So just be aware that this might be what it could be. There's a power concept here as well, right? Eighth house has a lot to do with the underworld and mafias and, crime and all those kinds of things. So make sure that the people that you're connecting with are above board. Make sure you trust people. Make sure you develop established relationships before jumping into anything. Please keep your guard up. It's very likely that things are not what they seem. This is also a house of death, okay? Your concerns of your own mortality, putting together your will, planning out your estate, taking care of your life insurance, making sure things are in line, getting your trust set up. This is an excellent time for that kind of stuff. Making sure things are in order, making sure your life is structured in a way that it can be passed on to your children, to your family, without the intervening government and all of that. So it's just very clean, very organized, and very legal. If there are issues in a current or an upstanding relationship, like a marriage, this is going to be an opportunity for you to really get to the bottom of it, right? There's no escaping this transit. It's like truth is truth is truth, and that is it. There can be no lies, there can be no deception, there can be no X, Y, or Z. Like, it has to be real, it has to be honest, and it has to be truthful. And I think there are going to be times when you might even just blurt something out because you just simply cannot contain it, because if you were to hold it in, it would be inauthentic and it wouldn't be honoring yourself. You guys are going to have, an opportunity for you to really clear the playing field, right? Let's clear the board, let's start fresh, let's start again. Relationships are going to go through a complete overhaul, a complete transformation. I would say that even more so than people who have this transit happening in their 7th house, I would say that more likely, if you are in an unhappy relationship, it is more likely to end during this time than it is for anybody else. A lot of people say, okay, it's very easy to end a relationship during a Venus retrograde, and that's true. But because of the termination quality of the 8th house, it's usually more final. Where if it's done, it gets cut off, it's done, it's over, and that's it. So, if you really want to keep your marriage intact and it's really struggling, going through counseling, this is a house of psychology, so seeing a therapist and all of that kind of stuff would be really, really, really beneficial. Like I say, it's a time to really just get everything out in the open so you can just deal with it. It's not going to be a time of secrets and hiding anything. It's just not going to work. And if you find that you or your partner is, it's not going to go over too well. Of course, we also have the element of other people's money in this house too, so your shared resources. So if there are disagreements about money, it's likely to come out during this time. It's a good time for you to save money though. If your relationship is fine and everything is working out great, even if you're single, this could be a time for you to share resources with someone, like your best friend. Hey, let's go on a vacation down to, Dominican Republic later on in the summer. Let's save money, let's do this, let's do that. And, you start saving together, you start putting things together, and you start, building things a lot faster. That's a beautiful thing about other people's resources, is that wealth grows very quickly when you do that, and you can both share and you can both benefit. Of course, the 8th house is deeply connected with spirituality, the occult, actually all 3 houses of the water houses, right? The 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. These are associated with what the, Eastern astrologers, they call the moksha. It's like an aim of life, and they're all aimed. The main goal of moksha is to detach, to break free from karma, to heal from karma, and to stop this maddening reincarnation cycle. So there is a breaking that happens here. It's why the transformation part of this house is so important, because it is us who transform and become more liberated, where Scorpio or the 8th house can be really dense and really under the heaviness of a lot of burden. But yet you break free from those burdens in this house. So you will find yourself feeling more light throughout the course of this transit, and things will become a lot better and a lot more liberated. But you do have to go through the process of like being able to push it off your back at the same time. So your spiritual practices are going to be really strong. If you're trying to develop psychic abilities, become a tarot card reader, an astrologer, a medium, a remote viewer, any of these kinds of things, now would be an excellent time for you to really delve deep and to get into the crux of those things. If you are a writer, I think your writing is going to take on a deep psychological, dark kind of tone, or it might, because this is really how humans connect. We connect through the pain and the shared experiences, and we root people on for the happiness, right? Because that's all we want. We want that happy ending. We want that joy. We want that, like, yes, everything is okay. But that brilliance at the end, the happy ending of the story, is made that much sweeter by the trek, right? By the story. So I think that your ability to connect with humanity, your ability to connect with the realness of people is going to come out real strong right now. So if you're a writer, now's an excellent time to start writing. All right, let's go ahead and pull out a card for you, an oracle card. That's a heavy, it's a heavy house. I gotta, it's a lot. So a lot to think about, a lot to change. It's great. Some relationships are going to come out of this so much stronger though, it's really a test of your commitment to one another. And that's a beautiful thing, because then you know that your partner is continually choosing you the way you continually choose them. And bonds can just be so amazing during this time. Sex can be amazing during this time, and the unity that you can find with one another. It's a whole other level. This is such an extreme house. It's all crazy. All right, let's go ahead and see what the cards say. I feel like this top one, this one came out for the Libra Ascendants as well. Healing chaos. Well, that just perfectly exhibits what I just said. There can be chaos during this time in the realm of many areas, but ultimately you come out of it more healed, more strong, and more free and liberated than ever before. So this is not really a surprise. I think we covered that pretty good. I'm going to leave you guys there. Thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an excellent season. Take care. If you have Sagittarius as an ascendant, or if you know you have Gemini in the 7th house, then this reading is for you. All right, well, the planet of marriage and relationships in the house of marriage and relationships, right? 7th house. Your focus is going to be on your relationships. There's really not a lot else. So what does this mean? First of all, it's going to help you guys recalibrate, right? Get on the same page. That's what I'm going to say for you guys. Get on the same page. Think about your future. Think about what you want. If you're totally single, then you may find yourself wanting a relationship more than you have, or really redefining what a relationship means for you and the role that a relationship has in your life. But whatever your one-on-one connections, now, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I know I just said it's about marriage and love, but it could also be business partnerships as well, okay? Any kind of one-on-one sort of agreements that you have. So, like I say, getting on the same page, really figuring out where the differences are and how you can, reconcile them. How can you reconcile differences? Well, first of all, you got to talk about them. You got to figure out what the differences even are. You got to figure out where people's expectations were way off, and where the expectations that were laid out on the table in the past, where they have not been met. And, it's all about, are people living up to what they're expected to do? If sex in your relationships is not so great, this is going to be a good time for you to explore each other sexually if you're open to doing that. I do think that sex is going to come into this a lot. What sex means and what you want out of sex. It can be like a time, especially for the men, where their sexual, physical libido might be a little bit lower. It could even be impotency. But it's more about the emotional sex, the emotional connection that you guys share, and the spiritual sharing that you guys can exhibit. You can have sex without, banging each other's brains out. This can be like a deep, intimate kind of connection opportunity that you can have that really just sets your life on fire. But again, it depends on, are you thinking about it in the same way? Because maybe one partner wants that deep connection and another one just wants to do the whole thing. And it's just it can be very dissatisfying during that time too. So you have to communicate what you need. You have to communicate where things are falling short for you. And you have to be able to listen to what the other person is saying and feeling as well, without getting defensive, without getting offensive, without getting offended, without getting all, worked up and like taking everything personally. Now is not a good time to take things personally, because it's not. It's not a personal attack on you, most likely. It's just an expression of an issue. It's an expression of a discontentment, and that's all it is. So listen. Pay attention, be diplomatic, be kind, compassionate, forgiving toward them and toward yourself, and just find a way to work through it. Gemini is a really strategic energy, right? It likes to think things through. It likes to find new paths. It's very curious. It likes to go in unseen kind of realms. So, just try something new. It's a good time to experiment. If this is a business partnership that you have, so you guys don't share a same vision, it's a good time for maybe you to go on a retreat, right? Like, let's go to a retreat. Let's go grab a cabin up in the mountains. Let's sit there. Let's refocus our business plan. Let's get our vision more clear. Let's really figure it out here. And, let's kind of go from there. If you guys are involved in any kind of a court case, some kind of a mediation, you have a custody battle, you have any kind of thing, now might be a good time where, okay, maybe a settlement is made, maybe an agreement is made, maybe there are concessions, there are compromises. Like Venus in the 7th is great, even if she is retrograde, right? It is a time for you to like be calm, be cool, be chill, and just work it out, right? What can I say? Just work it out. If a judge is involved, it's likely that they will give a very fair ruling, right? Something that maybe it's not going to be a win-win. Maybe y'all both won't be super happy about it, but it's something you'll be accepting of, and they're like, okay, fine, I accept it. Now, this house does rule divorce as well. So that's why I said in the beginning, it's not a good time to just end a relationship. It's just simply not. Unless you guys have already been having a lot of problems and you're not reconcilable, right? Now would be probably a good time to do that. But ultimately, if you love the person, if you're connected, if you're committed to making it work, avoid that tendency, because again, that Neptunian energy can make everything seem so askew. It's just the perspective is so off kilter that we don't have clarity. I recommend talking to a third party first, recommend getting a neutral individual's opinion, being like, hey, am I being off base here? Or is this kind of, am I just not thinking about this clearly? Like, that's going to serve you very well. If you need space, take space during this time. It's okay. But avoid making anything hard and fast and final, if you can avoid it. Now, because Venus retrograde, I would avoid massive contracts too. Like, don't sign your name to any kind of a contract or any kind of agreement that, requires a long-term commitment. I wouldn't recommend getting married during this time. I don't know. I'm not to say you can't. I'm not saying it won't work, but if you can help it or if you can avoid it, then I would, just simply because it's fuzzy. All right, let's go ahead and pull an oracle card for you guys. A lot of things to pay attention to. Your relationships are such a huge part of your life. That's what everyone wants, is love and money, right? Those two things, most important things. Love and money, such a huge part of our experience here. And community. If you're interested in this deck, I'll put a link to it down below. Community, working together. And you can have a community of one-on-one, right? You can have a community of two people. This is about collaboration. It's about, cohesiveness and unity, right? Community. It's about unity. And because the 7th house is ruled by the scales, and this is her Venus's ruling house, right? This is where she's really, really strong here in the 7th. So she's doing good work here. She's really helping you to figure out how to keep things balanced and how to really work together. So this is a beautiful thing. There is hope here. There is promise of bounty and abundance with the rainbow. There is a promise of growth. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you guys so much. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an excellent season. Take care. All right, if you are a Capricorn ascendant, or if you know you have Gemini in the 6th house, then this is for you. Let's talk about the 6th house. A lot of stuff coming out here. It's a house of our health. It's a house of work. It's a house of service. Has to do with our fitness, our debts, our enemies, our losses, lawsuits, robberies, like all sorts of things can be jam-packed into this house. It's karmic, okay? This is not really the best house to be. There are karmic debts that typically need to be repaid, maybe financial debts too for some of you as well. But let's focus on some of the positive things, and then we'll get into some of the things that you really need to pay attention to. Health. Venus retrograde, right? This is a house of our habits as well, specifically our health and nutrition habits. So you are going to be really, really focused on being in the gym, getting yourself fit, making yourself feel better, cutting out all the stuff. Like 6th house hates like sugar and alcohol and like all, it really, really does not like this kind of stuff because it's so in tune with its body. So Venus, here she is, this beautiful, intricate, delicate energy in a Mercury ruled sign Gemini. There's a fickleness or a finickiness to this whole thing. So really paying attention to what your body is doing is just going to be unavoidable. You're going to be revising a lot of things in terms of your habits that you do. You're going to be revising your routines. It's very likely that you might start waking up a lot earlier than you normally do and like really getting things back on track. You may feel like you just really want to work. I don't think this is the most romantic placement for Venus. Actually, this is one of her least favorite houses to be in. She just really doesn't enjoy, the work side of life. She's all about pleasure. She's about sex and joy and laughter and food and music and art and all these beautiful things. And, work is like, it's kind of drudgery. That's not her vibe. But yet still you will be probably working a lot. And you may even find if you're married, your spouse is just working a lot. The two of you may find yourself a little bit distanced from one another. You may find yourself, maybe not really connecting in a deep or an emotional kind of way so much. And it just becomes very, very dry. So if you're having a difficult relationship already, or if there are issues in the relationship, you're going to have to make added efforts at this time to really just stay connected. Plan a date night, get dressed up, do your hair. Don't like change the way you look, just get dressed up. Tap into the elegance of life. Go to a nice place. Make some added extra efforts to do something extra special. It doesn't need to be expensive, but it does need to be special and it does need to be romantic. If you're totally single, I think you're going to feel like, wow, I can really just do this for me. And maybe it'll actually be a really good thing. You can just do what you love. You can do what you want, when you want, how you want to do it. And you don't need to answer to anybody, which for some of you, you'll be like, hell yeah, that's awesome. That sounds exactly like what I want to do. This is also a house of self-improvement, right? There's a lot of desire to become the best version of yourself. This is what I call like the master class of self. Whenever there's like a major transit happening in the 6th house, you become more of a master of who you are. You learn how to regulate and manage your emotions. You can feel, but not let them overtake you. You can manage your thoughts. You can think, but not let them overtake you. And you can really make sure your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, right, all 4 of them are all working together collectively for the greater good of your life, so that you can contribute more to relationships, more to your workplace, more to your communities. Now, if you are having issues, right, like I said, enemies and lawsuits and things like that, if you are having issues with those kinds of things, right, things that take on those themes in life, now is probably going to be a time where the focus is, you have to focus on that stuff. You have to take care of the things. You have to deal with your lawyers. You have to, sit across the conference room table from someone in order to really hash it out. Now, the good thing is that Venus really likes diplomacy. She likes things to balance out. She likes fairness. She likes justice. So it might be a good time for some of you to get the justice that you deserve. But if you are on the lower end of that karmic debt, you might need to pay something out with your debts, right? Just pay it. That's what I'm going to say. Just pay it. Whatever you got to do, no matter what level of suffering in the temporary suffering you need to do. I would just say do it as long as it's not really hurting your well-being, right? I'm not asking y'all to be out on the streets or anything, but like, just do it. Get it over with, bite the bullet, take care of it. Because, a lot of people don't feel anything when sixth house transit happens because they don't really have a lot of karmic debt because they've been working a lot on themselves and working out a lot of things. So a lot of you may just feel nothing at all, and that's perfectly fine. So your focus will be on more productive things. But if you do have lingering karmic or financial debts, now is a time when it's probably going to come back and bite you in the ass a little bit. If you are struggling health-wise, now would be an excellent time to just go into the doctor and get everything checked. Just make sure your blood's right, your blood pressure, your circulation, make sure your lungs are, doing what they got to do, all your organs are functioning, make sure cholesterol, everything, all the things that you need to know, make sure you know them. Just take stock, take an inventory, just make sure you know where you're at. If you're perfectly healthy, it doesn't hurt to do that for yourself as well. Just go to the doctor, get the blood tests, and just see, right? Just do the inventory. It'll be really good for you. Now, on kind of a more fun note, right? The sixth house is also a house of pets. Now, some of you might want to be getting a new little kitten or a puppy or, a bird or a fish or something. And I would highly recommend doing that. I think that would be an amazing thing for you to do during this time, incorporating a new little one with those like super pure hearts the way they have, going and adopting someone or someone. Yeah, I guess we can call like animals someone, adopting someone that can, bring a lot of warmth and joy into your life. And, the sixth house is a very intuitive, healing house as well. So in terms of your emotional well-being, an animal would be really, really wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and pull an oracle card to kind of finish this up here. There could be I just have to say one more thing. There could be an element of paranoia that comes out too because of the Neptune influence. Try not to get too paranoid, okay? That's going to be an important thing for you. If you're feeling paranoid about something, someone's going to do something, someone's going to say something, do your meditations, just relax, go for a walk, breathe some fresh air, because it's not really going to serve you very well. There can be added anxiety with the sixth house, and that's, it's not really worth the energy. It's not worth sucking you dry here. Oh, this one came out for Sagittarius rising as well. Community. Okay, so community, all about working together, all about your contribution to the community. I think there is an element of thinking of the greater good here. The rainbow promises hope. It promises goodness. It promises good things. So there are going to be some really good things that come out of this. So again, if there are debts or things lingering, now would be an excellent time to take care of it so that you can just feel more free for the rest of the year. All right? I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an excellent season. Take care. If you have an Aquarius ascendant, or if you have Gemini in the fifth house, then this reading is for you. Let's talk about the fifth house, guys. What is this? What does this mean? Okay, well, house of creation, house of children, pleasure, joy, sex, passion, creativity, all these wonderful things. But I'm going to talk about those in a second. I want to talk about the kind of classical interpretation of this. So the three fire houses, houses 1, 5, and 9, right, naturally ruled by Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, they represent dharma. They represent the things that come easily, the good things, the blessings, the good fortune. So the ninth house is connected with our past, first house connected with our present, and the fifth house connected with our future. So here you are in this house of your future. You're in the house of really looking at where you're going. Now, you're not going to have clarity during the transit, but the transit itself will help give you clarity by contrasting things, right? That Neptunian energy is going to make things really weird and confusing and fuzzy and hazy. And by contrast, when it's over, that kind of focus will become laser sharp. And I think you're going to have a much better idea of what you want out of life, what you hope to achieve, what you hope to acquire, and all of those wonderful things. This is a house of good karma, So even though it's a Venus retrograde, there could actually be some really amazing things that happen for you here. And if there are any karmic debts or whatever in the realm of relationship or children or creation or whatever, they will likely be repaid. Although Venus is not a very harsh kind of lesson teacher. It's not really her gig. She doesn't really like doing that, but she does like things to be fair. So if there was something, that was preventing you from having or acquiring good karma, now is a chance for you to actually get on board with that so you can actually improve your social standing, improve your financial standing, improve your life. This is a lot of blessings, a lot of really amazing things can come out of this. Now, romantically, you need to be careful, whether you're in a marriage or a relationship or whether you are single. This Neptunian influence is going to be crazy, all right? It is going to make things super weird. It is going to really skew perspective. And like I said in the beginning of this video, these rose-colored glasses, they're not just going to be rose-colored. They're going to be like bright red-colored. The perspective and the skew of everything is just unprecedented here. So if you're trying to date someone, I don't know. I would just if you want to have fun, go for it. By all means, go have fun. But I wouldn't put a lot of investment into it. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into it. I wouldn't say oh yes, definitely, let's move forward, let's get married. Because that's kind of the passionate fifth house coming out and being oh, I just want to love. I just want to love. I just want to feel the good things. This chemistry, this passion, this sexual connection is just, it's so good. It's so unreal. It's so unworldly. This has to be a soulmate. This has to be my flame. It has to be, only to find out a couple months later that it was totally not that. So, have fun if you want to have fun, but don't invest too much into it. And if you're married, right? Go have fun, right? I don't know that this is going to really impact married people so much. It might impact you if you have children, okay? It might impact you if you have people that you're caring for who are younger than you and their kind of life being is dependent on you, okay? Yeah, then it will affect you. I think there will be some kind of opportunities for you to really get to know your kids, to get to see them as people, to get you to see them as another part of you. Venus always mirrors things back to us. And, she is going to hold up the mirror during this time and she's going to say, look at who you are. Look at what you've created. Look at who you are. And it's going to tell you a lot about your emotional state, your psychological state, and really who you are down deep. Now is an excellent time to be entertained, right? Go out, go have those beautiful meals in the beautiful restaurants with the beautiful lighting, wearing that super cute, sparkly outfit, whatever. Just be as whatever you want, right? No, there are no rules here. You can do your hair however you want. You can dress however you want. You can do whatever you want. And this is the royal placement, right? Fifth house has to do with the house of kings, royalty, majesty. No apologies, right? Now, Venus is about us plus another person. So while you are doing your whole thing, it's really important that you let the other person do their own thing too, right? If you want to be all whatever, then your other person can be all whatever too. And that can actually be a shared bonding experience, I get to be so authentically me and you get to be so authentically you. How cool is this? How cool is it that we get to just do this? I don't know. I think this is a lucky transit for you guys. I don't know that it's going to be really that harsh or that hard unless you're in a position where there's already a lot of rockiness or there's a lot of issues between you and another person. If you do have issues, then of course a Venus retrograde can exacerbate those issues. But if you're good and things are going well and it's fine and whatever, then just have fun, right? Reevaluate, try things, experiment, go here, go there, talk to your kids, talk to your partner, just who cares, right? Have fun. I would not recommend getting into gambling or the lotteries or, speculative markets right now. It's just going to be weird anyway because of the pandemic. This is usually a house of good fortune, right? Good karma, good fortune, all those kinds of things. But, she's just going to temper things out a little bit, Venus. She's just going to say, let's just not be extreme here. Let's not push things to the limits. Let's not get crazy. Let's still be a little conservative and think things through. So just kind of keep that in mind there as well. Let's go ahead and pull in an oracle card for you guys. Let's see what comes out here. We love the 5th house. It's fun, it's dramatic, it's creative. If you guys are wanting kids, enjoy the sexy time, right? Ooh, and then a card of freedom. If you guys want to know about this deck, I'll put a link down below. See, freedom. That's exactly what I was like. Just be you, be authentically you. Like, no apologies. Just do what you got to do. I think you're getting in touch with your inner Venus, male or female out there. It doesn't matter. You're getting in touch with that inner femininity. You're getting in touch with the beautiful part of yourself, the sexy part of yourself, the part of you that has a strong libido, that feels like animal and, you know, just like it has a passion for life. And it is a very freeing experience. And all the fire houses, 1, 5, and 9, they are very free. It's a beautiful thing, beautiful energy. I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you guys so much. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you have an excellent season. Talk to you soon. All right, if you have a Pisces ascendant, or if you know you have Gemini in the 4th house, then this is for you. So let's talk a little bit about the 4th house, all right? Home and family, real estate, fixed assets, transportation. This has a lot to do with your emotional security, your sense of safety, your ancestry, karma, all these kinds of things. Now, the 4th house, similar to the 8th house and the 12th house, right? These are the water houses, number 4, 8, and 12. They are so geared and focused toward spiritual liberation. And the 4th house does that through healing, right? 8th house does it through change. 12th house does it through loss of like no attachments, right? So 4th house, we get to heal. We have an opportunity to, you know, like get over stuff, right? Plain and simple, we have an opportunity to get over stuff. I think your home absolutely is going to be your safe space, although you might feel a little unsettled there because Venus will be going backwards, causing you to reevaluate your home. Don't do any remodeling. Please don't. Don't go buy any big furniture. If you want to do a few little things that is not super cost heavy, that's fine. But I wouldn't go out and do anything drastic right now. Just think about it, draw it, research it, Google it, get pictures, put things together, but don't actually pull the triggers on anything because it's likely that your taste may change a little bit between now and August. There's going to be a strong emphasis on where you feel safe, with the people with whom you feel safe, a strong emphasis on your family, on building a family if you're wanting to get pregnant and have a child. There's going to be a strong emphasis on bettering yourself as well. I think this is a strong, self-improvement house. It's really sensitive though. You may be a little bit more sensitive than most people, a little bit more agitated, a little bit more edgy. And that's because you are in a very vulnerable, raw portion of the sky. And Venus is really going to ask you about what's really important to you. And sometimes we realize that we valued something a lot more than we should, and we need to scale that thing back. That could include a person, it could include a career path, it could include a relationship that's non-romantic. And that can be hard sometimes, and it can go through a period of adjustment, healing from that. I know your spiritual practices are going to be really intense right now. Your intuition is going to be really intense. You're going to be receiving a lot of information. Likely, if you do ancestral work, it is likely that you will connect with that kind of thing. An ancestor, a spiritual guide, that kind of thing that can really help you in your spiritual path. Now, I'm not saying to rely on entities. I'm not saying to depend on anything, but sometimes it helps to feel it. I don't know how else to say it, to feel it. I think your feelings are going to be really strong at this time. Journaling is going to be especially important for you. Getting your words down on paper, getting them out of your head, getting them out of your body, and being able to get them into a form that, so you don't have to keep storing everything up here. You may feel a little bit more anxious than normal during this transit. You may feel a little bit more, like I say, sensitive or on edge. That's because you're changing. changing because you're healing karma from the past, not only yourself, but from your family line as well, specifically through the line of your mother or the feminine, healing generations of stuff. You know, we talk all the time about how this generation, you know, millennials, and I don't know what all the other ones are called, but, you know, everyone who is here on earth right now, I don't care if you're 10 years old or 70 years old, everyone who is on earth here right now is really meant to bring in this new wave of consciousness onto the planet. And in order to do that, we need to work through our past. We need to work through our lineage, and we need to heal our lineage. And that's an incredibly powerful process. It can be really hard, but it is liberating at the same time. You're only doing yourself favors by really concentrating on this area of your life. On a lighter note, okay, for those of you who are thinking about buying a car, probably wouldn't recommend buying one unless you absolutely have to. If you have issues with your vehicle, just, you know, get it repaired and call it a day. If you are in school for a master's or a doctorate program, this will be an excellent time for you to just hunker down, get your studies done, get your papers, your dissertations, your thesis done, like just get it done, get it out there, do the work, and just like really allow that work to really flow through you. There is an element of food here as well. Make sure you're watching what you eat, okay? Similar to the second house transit as well. You know, when we're at home and we're comfortable and we're cozy, we can have a tendency to go to the kitchen a little bit more often. We can, you know, cheat a little bit more than we should be. So just pay attention to your diet and your intake. Romantically, if you're totally single, if you were to meet someone during this time, it probably would be more of a, you know, like staying at home, cooking meals at home kind of dating experience. You know, you might connect with someone who makes you feel very safe emotionally. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, honestly. I know that relationships, it's hard to recommend people getting into relationships right now. But for you, for some reason, I feel like it's more okay. Still be cautious, still think things through, still think about, you know, what's really happening here. But go with the flow, trust your gut, trust your intuition. It's going to be really fierce right now, so I totally trust you. You might also find yourself rectifying with your mother. You may find yourself wanting to communicate with her, reach out, make sure she's doing okay, especially if your parents are divorced and if she's not married and living alone. It would be a really good time for you to just like go visit and reconvene and just make sure that you really, you know, express your caring and your love and your appreciation for her as well. There's opportunities for forgiveness, okay? Forgiveness is a huge thing for you guys. Forgiving the sins of your parents, forgiving the things that you cannot control, forgiving the things that are very well and done, and just being able to really move on. All right, let's go ahead and pull an oracle card for you guys. I want to see what comes out for. Oops, hold on. Ooh. Having a weird thing going on with the cards. You guys actually got two. So we have transformation and we have solitude. If you want to know the deck information, I'll put it down below. So yeah, I mean, we cannot go through a massive fourth house transit and not come out unevolved, right? It's absolutely impossible. Similar to going through a 12th house or an 8th house transit. We change during these transits. We are more liberated. We are more free. We are more emotionally and spiritually healthy. Your solitude will be important. And I know we're getting hit with solitude so much right now because of the pandemic. But I suspect you guys are going to be like, oh, I need to go back indoors. I need to just kind of close my door. I need to go through this on my own. I need quiet because you are going through a little bit of a heavier transit. I'd say that all of the water, Ascendant, Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces, because this Gemini transit is happening in the 4th, 8th, and 12th houses, you're just getting hit a little bit harder than most. And because you're also a mutable sign and this is squaring you, plus you've got Neptune in there, just a little bit harder than most. So it is deep, it is transformative, but it is also very beautiful as well, which Venus is all about. All right, so I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. I wish you nothing but a great season. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. Please let me know how this transit is going for you. Feel free to write comments. Feel free to email in. I'm always curious to know how these transits impact you, and I always pay attention to how they impact me personally. Helps make me a better astrologer, helps make me a better guide or a better counselor in that regard. I can give more, more relevancy to the reading. So please let me know. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much. I hope you have an excellent season. Take care.